Adam Daniels, Santee Fire Department. We're going to go over another training video on our new Stihl saws. We've had these Stihl saws for a little bit now, but we're going to go over training on component identification, how to rehab them, how to adjust the chain, and that kind of stuff. So we'll go over all that stuff, and then we'll have another video that goes over starting procedures. So first off, these are our new Stihl saws. They're the MS 462Cs. We have two styles of these currently in our department. We have these ones without the full wrap handle. If you notice, this one does not have a full wrap handle going all the way around. And then we have one with a full wrap handle. That's important because we'll get into different chains and stuff, but the ones with the full wrap handle use a different chain. So just be heads up on which one you're using, but we only have one of those currently. With this one, the 462C, this is actually an electronically controlled carburetor, so which eliminates the use of a choke. We don't have any kind of choke switch or anything on this like we did on the cutter's edge saws. So for your ready to start is going to be all the way down. You pull the trigger, so you pull the throttle, push it all the way down. That's your ready to start position on there. Also, we're going to have it with the chain brake off. This is your chain brake on, chain brake off. Chain brake off is going to be the ready to start position for this saw. Chain brake off, this all the way down. This thing's ready to go. We also have a compression release, so you can push it in if you need the compression release. When it comes out, that means the compression release is off. You can start it either way. Pushing it in makes it easier to pull. Obviously, we have the pull cord. When you're doing your inspections, make sure you have no rips or tears to this cord. Make sure it's in good working order. On our rescue saw, the one with the full wrap handle has a D handle style pull cord. All right. We're going to take this top cover off and we're going to access the air cleaner and the spark plug on the saw. You got 3 quarter turn bolts here. Take a flathead screwdriver. Once those are popped off, then this thing just comes out. So you have air filter here, which is a quarter turn on the air filter. If you see on this air filter, it's got a little hose symbol. These are washable air filters. You can wash these air filters with water. They look like paper, but they are washable air filters with water per Stihl. To find out how to wash these air filters, look up the Stihl YouTube on how to wash the air filters, and it'll tell you. Just wash them with water. Here's our electronically controlled carburetor. As you can see, here's our throttle positioner. When we push down this level, it kicks up on that throttle positioner, puts it in the high idle position. And then when we pull the throttle, it releases that throttle positioner on there. Also, in here is going to be our spark plug. So this is how you access your spark plug. When you're cleaning this after operation, you're going to look in here and make sure there's not excessive amounts of dirt and oil built up in between these cooling fins, because then it's not able to cool. If we continue on this side, over here we have our fuel. This is a quarter turn fuel valve. Turn it, come off. Put it back on. Just be heads up if you're bringing it out of the flammable environment in case of any kind of fuel geyser or anything like that, so you don't catch fire. On this side we have the bar oil, similar to the fuel, same style cap. Every time you fill up the bar oil, make sure this thing's topped off. We're coming over to this side of on this one, we have our bar nuts. This is where in our adjuster for our chain, then obviously our chain and our bar. This saw does not have it, but our rescue saw does. It has a deflector shield on it, so you might see a deflector shield on here. It keeps debris from going into the engine area. And then this is our muffler on this saw. If we look at it underneath here we have our bar oil adjuster right there. So that's how you adjust the bar oil. Turn that to adjust how much bar oil is coming out onto the bar. We have a chain catch here in case that chain throws, then we catch it there. So now we're going to go into how to rehab this saw and how to adjust the chain. So first thing you're going to do, we're going to rehab this saw after every time we use it in training or in a fire. First thing you're going to do, you're going to have your scrunch. The big side of the scrunch is for these nuts here. Take these nuts off, loosen them, break them loose. These nuts stay attached to this plate. Take them completely off. You can see they stay attached to that plate, so they're going to stay on there. Make sure you set up your stuff so it's nice and organized. When you take this off, you see right here, this is your adjuster that's through the hole right here. This is what's through the hole of the plate. That's where you're going to adjust your chain back and forth. It's kind of nice because on these saws, as opposed to the cutter's edge saw, the adjuster was on the plate itself, so it made it more difficult to adjust. These you can kind of get in the ballpark before you put that plate on, and then you can adjust it. So we're going to take our bar off, and we're going to take our chain off. So while we're in here, under here, this is where your bar oil comes out behind this plate. This is the pin that goes into the bar that adjusts the bar back and forth to adjust the tension on the chain. And then this is our 3-shoe centrifugal clutch. Right now, as you see, it spins freely. If we push this chain brake forward, it doesn't spin anymore. This band around the outside is what clamps around that drum. So if you release it, the band's not clamped on. If you tighten it, the band clamps on. So that's how that chain brake works. And then it spins freely. Problem with that band is the clutch will still spin inside that drum. So if you are at full throttle or you're trying to run it, you have a possibility of wearing that clutch out, because there's possibility of it spinning inside the drum with that drum hold solid with the band. So don't try to throttle it up with the chain brake on. All right. So I'm going to show you inside this clutch so you guys can see what's going on in here. We're going to take this C-clip off, or E-clip off, because it looks like an E. So just make sure you're kind of guarding it when you take it off so you don't lose it. So you pop this off in there, put it down. You're going to have this thrust washer on there that holds everything down in there. And then you're going to have your sprocket. If you see this sprocket, it tells you the measurements that correspond with the chain on it. So this one says 3/8. Because the chain is 3/8. So make sure you have the right sprocket for the chain. And then this is your drum. So inside your drum, just like a drum brake, it's just a drum that goes around these clutches. So the way these clutches work is when you spin this, by giving it throttle, it spins this area. When it spins this, the centrifugal force acts against these springs and pushes these clutches out against that drum. So if you see right here, it'll push. See how it's pushing out against that spring and pushing out. You can see the gap open up there. It pushes out against that drum and it throws it against that drum. And then once it catches that drum, then the drum acts on that sprocket and the sprocket acts on the chain, and that's how that works. That's why when you tighten this band around the drum, there's potential for this thing to continue to spin and wear out those clutches. So you don't want to do full throttle while you have the chain brake on. So put this on. It also has, if you can see, it also has a oil pinion. It's kind of hard to see on this. See if I can get to it. Right down in here, there's an oil pinion. It's a little tiny sliver. That's what throws the bar oil out. That aligns here with this gap right here on the drum. So you got to make sure this thing's always aligned. So you're going to put your roller bearing back on. You're going to put this, and you're going to have it drop in there, and then drop in that oil pinion, and you hear it drop in there right there. And now you know your oiler's working and this thing's seated all the way down. You're going to put your washer back on. Sorry. Put your sprocket back on. Then your washer back on. And then your E-clip. Needle nose. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this chain back on. We're going to put a new chain back on. Every time you use the chainsaw, what you want to do is you want to take the chain off just hanging on the hook, and your small engines department will inspect it. Like we talked about with this one, inspecting this one, we have some missing cutters on this one, but we can use it to make sure we have the right new chain. So we have the right length. We have a 20-inch and a 25-inch chain, or bar, so we want to use the 20-inch. The chain is for the 20-inch bar, so this one matches the chain that we're taking off, and we want to make sure they have the right rakers. We see these rakers match up, so we know this is a RD3 chain just like the one we're taking off, and it's not the RDR chain. So just make sure you compare them together to make sure you have the right chain. So with that being said, we're going to put the chain back on. So what we do first, every time we use this, every time we change it, we're going to want to flip this bar. So this bar was upside down when we took it off, so we want to flip it and put it right side up. That just gives a good even wear pattern to both sides of the bar, and it makes the bar last longer. We want to make sure the chain's going the right way when we put it on. So the way you know the chain's going the right way is if the raker is leading the cutter on the top edge. So get this thing on there. you can see right here, there's the raker, it's leading the cutter. This thing spins this way, so the raker's leading the cutter on the top edge, so we know it's going the right way. So we're going to put the bar back on with the chain on it, so make sure the hole goes over the adjuster right there. Hold the chain on the bar, get it around the sprocket. Once it's around the sprocket, pull some tension on it. After that, I like to set it on this side. So even if the chain does fall off, it's still in the groove. Now we can take our screwdriver and kind of get close to our adjustment by tightening the adjuster out and tightening that chain up. So you see that chain's coming closer to that bar. We want to make sure it goes into that groove. See it snapped in that groove. We got it tight. We don't want to tighten it all the way down. We got it tight right there. Now what you're going to do, you're going to take your plate. You're going to put your plate back on, making sure the holes line up with the bolts. You finger tighten this. It's an important step to make sure you remember you finger tight. The bolts are only finger tight. After that, kind of hold up on the blade a little bit to get it centered, get as tight as you can with your fingers. That way you can still use the adjuster to adjust the tension on the chain before tightening it all the way down. So once it's finger tight, then what I like to do, I make sure the chain breaks off, and then I like to run it down the bar a couple times to make sure it's seated down in that sprocket and seated down in that bar. Then I check the tension. We want it to snap back. We can tighten it up a little bit more. Here, check the tension. Snapping back in place. And it runs nice along the bar there. So after we do that, now don't forget to tighten these nuts back up. Tighten these nuts all the way down. Sometimes when you tighten these nuts, it tightens the chain up on the bar too, so we're going to run it again and check the tension again. We might have to do this a couple times. Tighten those nuts down. Make sure they're tight. Come back here, check the tension, tighten it up a little bit, run it down. Check the tension. Just got a small gap below the drive link there, and it snaps right back into place. Once this is done, then you're going to start the saw, make sure everything's in good working order, and then it's ready to go back into service.